to say in a memo that you wrote not long ago to Kevin McCarthy about this subject. So I'll just, I'd love you to explain it to our audience.
Well, thank you, Steve. The reason I wrote the memo to Leader McCarthy a couple of weeks ago is because it's become clearer and clearer to me that Donald Trump gave the Republican Party a really important gift. And I'm not sure that all of my colleagues quite understand that that gift is still sitting right in front of us. And that gift is that for the first time more than ever, working class voters in America identify themselves as Republicans more than they ever did before. Donald Trump did something unprecedented in cementing a relationship with blue-collar working class voters and brought them into the Republican fold in a way that I hope Republicans will soon recognize so that we can maintain it. And that's why I wrote the 5-page memo that I did, Steve. I talked about Republicans seizing an agenda that puts American workers first when it comes to immigration policies, trade policies, and ultimately holding China accountable. There is a paradigm shift in American politics today where the Republican Party is no longer the party of big business that Democrats are. You see that in political donations, and you see that in the voting behaviors of working class voters. And I believe, Steve, it's important now more than ever for Republicans to cement this relationship and make our party the party of working class voters permanently. And if we do, we'll win back the majority in 2022 and we'll win back the White House in 24.
Exactly, because you know that line that these sort of sophisticated political people always say, you've heard it for actually decades now, which is, oh, the demographics are against the Republican Party. Their voters are old white people who are dying off. Actually, it's the opposite, because if the GOP, exactly in line with your memo, become the working class coalition, it's a multiracial coalition. It's a growing group, actually. And so that's the secret to political success. There was one aspect of your memo I loved, which was your own personal story in your district about how you actually did better as a result of moving away from those big corporate donations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Steve, I learned a really big lesson. After January 6th, a number of PACs that previously gave money to me from corporate America said, we're not giving you money anymore. And some of it was about my vote not to certify unconstitutionally conducted elections at the state level, but a lot more of it is because I'm a conservative. I've taken tough stances in favor of religious liberty, pro-life stances, and I've been warned by some of the lobbyists and PACs for a long time that those beliefs and votes are falling out of line and out of favor with some of the big corporate woke CEOs in Wall Street. So I had one PAC from a large pharmaceutical company in Indiana, Eli Lilly. They actually went to the media and tried to make this a negative news story targeted toward me, and it was in the local papers in Fort Wayne and all over Indiana. Steve, the lesson I learned is I got more attaboys and pats on the back, and I got more small dollar donations for people who appreciated that I'm a Republican who understands I represent people, not big corporations and big pharmaceutical companies and pharmaceutical CEOs at Eli Lilly. I put the interest of my voters and I represent my constituents first, not big woke corporations and CEOs instead. And let me tell you, if it's the Republicans who don't figure that out, that we represent people, not corporations, those are the Republicans that are going to get left behind. You saw Asa Hutchinson fall flat on his face as he fell victim to this last week. Hopefully many Republicans are paying attention. They follow Brian Kemp, who showed backbone in Georgia by standing up to corporate America, and not follow the lead of the Asa Hutchinsons and some of the weak Republicans. That's the right way forward for the Republican Party.
Well, thank you. Your memo is fantastic. I agree with every word of it. I hope you can come back and we can dive into other aspects as well, because I really believe that's the roadmap for not just for 2022, but many years beyond. Congressman Banks, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, coming up, as the humanitarian crisis at the border gets worse by the day, the person in charge is nowhere to be found. Where's Kamala? Perhaps Charlie Kirk and Tammy Bruce know.